Good evening, everybody. Welcome to On Deck. I'm Russ Morgan here on FTSN. Well, season's finally over. Season is finally over. Thank you for whoever for joining in on a new time. We were trying to figure it out. We had the World Series going on, ended on Tuesday, but finally baseball's over. Can start going into the off season. Take a little break from baseball. Dodgers end up beating my Yankees 3-1. So it was a little depressing, but hey, I rep my team. I still got my hat on, even though we lost. Uh, Ended up getting game four. Looked a really good game four. I don't know. I mean, the Dodgers weren't really. Obviously, I got my opinions. I want to talk about game one and two. Got my opinions. Game three was. Well, what? Yeah, I mean, Dodgers get game three, and that was just abysmal. I mean, but I think it was kind of the whole story of besides game one for me the whole story until last was it Monday or Tuesday. I've been lost on sports. Was it Tuesday? Uh, is I mean game two, the Dodgers had one massive inning and won 4-2. Game three, they had one massive inning and won 4-2, and the Yankees couldn't get going till the ninth. So I kind of think that's been like the story. It was the story of the series, especially those two games, two big games. Obviously, game three they lost 4-2 to the Dodgers. Game four, Yankees, which kind of it was a must-win game. Obviously, must-win game for the Yankees. Clark Schmidt, you kind of go in, you at least want to see him to get five, so you keep that pen nice and fresh. Or maybe you don't. You have to use your high leverage arms. He doesn't get it done. He only goes three and two thirds, something like that. You get a really strong start from Walker Bueller. Let me look. Walker Bueller had a really and looked really solid for since that last start with the Mets. Bueller's looked like himself, like before his two Tommy Johns. Uh, whoa. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get these full stats. Already. Yeah, but I mean, Bueller looked really solid, and I ended up pitching. You know, only having to pitch that one game, but his game three start was solid, and obviously came in and closed it with the Yankees. Hey, how's it going? Is it Nam? Hello, how's it going? Um, Game four what was for me was it's backs against the wall. Obviously, a must win. You kind of, being the eye was like, hey, you got to at least let's win one. We're the New York freaking Yankees. You gotta at least take one. We can't get swept. We can't get swept in New York. So game four was solid. Obviously, Volpe, who was out of his mind that game, had the grand slam. Judge has a solid game. He gets one hit, but a couple walks. Wasn't really chasing. Uh, don't know what Roberts was probably. He kind of went with this B squad, B pitchers. They have the opener that game. Go with that opener, and he didn't really throw any of his high leverage arms. That bullpen arms trying to save them up. He threw Honeywell was out there for a while at the end of the game. They ended up going 11-4. Gleyber Torres kind of got going. So going into game five, you know, I was optimistic. I think my thing was optimistic was I didn't know, and I speaking to some of my Yankee fans and my family members who are big Yankee fans, didn't know if Flaherty had it in him. Flaherty would go out there and have another dominant start, and we did. right off the bat, you didn't see that he walks he walks Torres and then gives up the 2-run bomb to Judge, who finally you think he's after a solid game. Baseball is weird, baseball is weird. He had a solid game, 3 solid bats, wasn't really chasing. And hey, it looks like it's going to turn around. He has that big 2-run home run. Jazz Chisholm, comes up, gets that home run, makes it 3-0 quick. So it's looking good. Volpe, baseball is weird. All it does is take one game. He has one big game, game 4. He starts swinging it hot, and his defense was phenomenal. This guy was Gold Glove shortstop, and so he's starting to swing it. Stanton, obviously, he had a home run, made it 4-0. But and Cole was just nails. Garrett Cole was nails through those first 4 innings. Have fun getting a hit off him, and he's going into the 5th, throwing a no-hitter, and Kike Hernandez, who has been phenomenal throughout the whole playoffs, was Kike Hernandez was right up there, huge. Giving the Dodgers, extending that lineup, giving the Dodgers a little more depth of that lineup. And the bottom, that 5 through 9 was big. Kike Hernandez was massive. He ended up batting 294. He starts off, he gets that hit, and okay, you get one. We're up 4-0. I think it was at the time. 5-0. Excuse me. And kind of get a fluke play, a little fly out to center field. You think easy can of corn. Judge takes his eye off the ball, drops it. Was it first and second? And then Tommy Edman comes up. Ball 5-6 hole. Tough play. Volpe makes the play, but you got Kike Hernandez coming down third, so he kind of gets rid of it quick and short hops. Jazz Chisholm, he can't handle it. So it's bases loaded, no outs. 2 high leverage guys. Cole, bam, bam, gets 2 straight outs. He gets Ohtani out. He gets Ohtani out, so you got 2 outs. You got Mookie Betts up, and you're like, you going into that situation. You're thinking as a pitcher, you go, okay, if I can come through this with just giving up, surrendering one run, that's a win, And he has a solid pitch sequence to Betts. Ground ball to Rizzo. Rizzo kind of sits back on it a little bit. Probably needed to attack the ball, but sits back a little bit, takes a little different bounce. He goes there to make that throw. No one's covering first. This pissed me. Excuse me, I try not to. This pissed me the fuck off. This is something you work on when you're going, and start playing baseball. When there's, you start playing baseball, you are PFPs. It's the first thing you do in spring training. You work on pitching, fielding, practice, PFPs. He's not there. He's lazy. He's pointing. I think Garrett Cole is feeling bad for himself because, that it's going bad. And he's not there. So, it's 5-1. You got Freddie Freeman up, who's, the guy's he's got a bad ankle. They found out he's got a couple broken ribs. He comes up, gets another base knock. Freddie Freeman's out of his mind, and I was said it the whole time. He was the biggest X factor on that team. Barely get him out. He holds a record for 6 straight home runs in a World Series games. So it's nuts, But he comes up. You can't get Freddie Freeman out, and he gets a base hit. It's 5-3. Then Teoscar Hernandez comes up, who was struggling there for a little bit, made an adjustment, and was Had started making an adjustment to the plate, had a nice deep shot to center, and bam, what is it? 5-5 now. So that quick 5-run lead just gone in a heartbeat, and it pissed me off. It goes into I think it goes into coaching. I'm all year the Yankees have been a sloppy defensive team, sloppy defensively, and that's going into coaching. That's going on Aaron Boone. I blame Aaron Boone for that. You allow that. You allow these superstar players, and then the biggest game, your defense caught up to you in the World Series. You're playing the Royals in the division series, and then the Guardians. I think they're, in my opinion, I think they're both teams are just overmatched. There's too much. But then you face a Dodgers team that is, I mean, that lineup is insane, and they don't make mistakes. You give the Dodgers a little inch, and they take a mile, and we saw that. I mean, now this team, I'll say, hey, congratulations, Los Angeles Dodgers, on winning a full season World Series. Best team in baseball all year, and definitely, was the favorite to win it all after they signed Ohtani. That Teoscar Hernandez was probably just as a bigger signing for them because he was a big piece of the whole postseason. But congratulations for winning a 162 World Series. But it goes into the coaching for me. I mean, you can't allow a team to be sloppy. They're sloppy in game one. I mean, you allow Freddie Freeman to get a triple right off the bat. Juan Soto in right field takes a bad angle to the ball and allows Teoscar Hernandez to get the second one, a sac fly. Juan Soto in right field fields it bad off the wall. The Shohei Ohtani double off the wall. And then, Torres kind of sits there and just, I'm going to flail at it like this and doesn't get in front of it. And he's on third. And what happens? Another sac fly. We're tied up. I mean, I was watching, what was it? Inning 8. I think it was the 8th inning. And all that, I mean, it's 5-5, and all the Dodgers need is a couple sac flies. And, they get it done. Gavin Lux, who, was a guy taking his lumps during the year. Obviously, he was supposed to be that starting shortstop, take his lumps, has a great sac fly. You get Ohtani out, and then, who comes up next? It's Mookie Betts, the ultimate. This guy's just an ultimate baseball player. He's not thinking about himself in that situation. He's thinking about the team. And what does he do? He's not trying to hit a home run. He's not trying to break it open. He goes, hey, we need a run. Our bullpen's strong. All he does, he lifts the baseball. He lifts it, fly out the Judge. He gets that run done. Ultimate baseball player. Guy just finds a way to get it done. I love Mookie Betts. Guy just, I mean, he knows his job. His job is to get the ball in the air, get a sac fly, and that's what he did. And I mean, that was the whole series. One of the biggest parts of the series. I mean, the Dodgers. I mean, you give them an inch, they take a mile. They went. I mean, they don't make mistakes. It's a fundamentally sound team where the Yankees are not a fundamentally sound. We're not a fundamentally sound baseball team. I mean, Judge takes his eye off the ball. He probably won't, do that ever. You probably never see him do that ever again. And drop a ball like that ever again. He takes the eye off the ball. He does that. Garrett Cole, miserable. I blame Cole of that any more than that. He gets in the dumps, gets in his head a little bit, and doesn't cover first. It could be 3-2. We could be still playing, we could have game 6 right now. Was on Wednesday, so we would have game 6 going right now. Who would not want game 6? Be the first team in MLB history to force a game 6 down 3-0. But he gets in the dumps and he does that shit and he doesn't cover and he just points. That's They were not a fundamentally sound team. And the Dodgers, every time you make a little mistake, they jump on you, and they made a big mistake. They did it. Now the Dodgers, I'll give them the credit. Like right off the bat, game one, their defense was phenomenal. Tommy Edman saved 3 runs easy that game. Easy 3 runs. It was, I mean, and their bullpen was solid, but I was going into game 5. I was optimistic. I was like, hey, we've hit some of these bullpen pieces. Trinan who's been their dude all year, hasn't been looked invincible in this post, against the Yankees. So I'm like, hey, it's gonna be good. Uh, Garrett get another solid start from Garrett Cole, but that inning just blew up and exploded. But I mean, it could have been a better series. It could have been better. I mean, I I'm I question. I know Aaron Boone's got an option for this year. I don't know if you want to bring him back. He's too much of a I'm one of the guys. I'm one of the guys that can't be his decisions don't work, and he lets the players get away with shit that shouldn't happen. You can't be making mistakes. This is the fall classic. This is the World Series. This is terrible. That goes in one of the guys. I need a hard ass coach. The one that pisses me off was with Carlos Mendoza, who's the Mets coach, who was a Yankees coach. He's a guy I want. So I don't know if anybody's out there. Anybody got some names? I want to fire Boone. I've wanted to fire him forever. But I mean, anybody got any names I want to throw out? I want Terry Francona, and that would just piss off the Red Sox fans too. So that would be phenomenal. But I want him. I want an old school baseball guy. I wanted Joe Girardi was an old school baseball guy after he took over for Torrey. I want that. I think Boone's soft. He makes bad calls. Game 1, you don't pull Garrett Cole after 1 week hit, and then you don't pull Luke Weaver after 2 innings. This guy was a starter after 2 innings. You just let them ride with them. The whole momentum changes if you win game 1. That whole, it changed. The Dodgers, Freddie Freeman hit that walk-off home run. It changed everything. They had all the momentum. So, I mean, it's just, I fire the guy. He's not a fundamentally sound team. They're making mistakes, making big mistakes, and it ain't happening. So I want an old school baseball coach. I want give me. I mean, it pisses me off. Carlos Mendoza was our coach for a handful of years. He's a Yankee, and now he's the Mets coach. So that I'd take him in a heartbeat, but he ain't coming. He's not there. He's be in New York. But I mean, I give the Dodgers played solid. I mean, they played. The defense was solid. They hit when they needed to. Mookie Betts solid. Betts 290, 4 home runs, 16 RBIs in the playoffs. I mean, Shohei was not good this series. They kind of found a way to lock him down. Shohei was not good. Him and Judge did not have good play. He had good playoffs, but he was not good. Judge was horrendous this postseason. Batted 184. He finally got the 1 home run game 5, but that's about it. Didn't really get a phenomenal defensive play to keep the game going, but then has the big mistake. But he's not doing much. This guy's the MVP, giving you 2-time MVP, and he's 2 hits in the World Series, and his postseason 184. That's terrible. I mean, the Dodgers were solid. Mookie Betts is solid. Mookie Betts, Tommy Edman, who is kind of a guy. Tommy Edman, a guy hadn't played when they made that deal. Guy ended up batting 328, on base percentage 354. I mean, 328, and this guy hadn't played when the Dodgers traded for him. So, I mean, that's solid. Teoscar Hernandez, who made that adjustment, he ended up batting 250. Will Smith, who was kind of down, still, found a way to do it. Freddie Freeman, who, got the MVP, was out of his mind in this World Series. I mean, there was no way for him to, whatever you try to do, he was going to hit a home run. And for me, I love Freddie Freeman's approach. When you hear him talk about his batting practice, he says, "I'm not trying to hit home runs. I go gap to gap. I hit line drives," and it's phenomenal. And this guy's playing with two broken ribs and a bad ankle. So that's. I mean, the Dodgers pitching is solid. Their bullpen did their job. Kopech was solid. I mean, I was watching. Was it the eighth inning? Soto ground ball to first. Trying to. What do you see trying to do? He is busting his ass to get to first to cover first base. What he knows his job. His job is not to assume. Bust his ass to get to first base. What does he do? Get to first base, bang, bang, but gets Soto. That could have changed the ending. This is a fundamentally sound team. I know some of my Dodger friends don't like Dave Roberts. You can take Dave Roberts 100 times, 99.9 times over 100 over Aaron Boone. He did a solid job. He made the right calls. I don't think Aaron Boone makes the right calls. He doesn't know that. Anthony Bondo was another solid guy. And who's the lefty? Who's the Vesia was that guy was nails. He was nails coming out of the bullpen. Have fun hitting him. This guy hadn't pitched. He wasn't on NLDS or NLCS roster. He came in. He was nails. Didn't give up an earned run. I mean, you got a solid bullpen. I mean, Kopech was solid. He had a good postseason. Trinant, solid. I mean, you get a solid start game 2 from Yamamoto. Walker Buehler was phenomenal and closed it out. As great as Stanton was, all playoffs. What does he do? We need Stanton to get a base hit. We need Stanton to do something. What does he do? First pitch pop up. There's Giancarlo Stanton for you. Volpe got going and Volpe got going, but that was it, and Austin Wells, who I liked Austin, was all for benching Austin Wells game 3, but then he came back game 4 and he's like, hey, F it. I'm going to play loose. What's there to lose? And he came up big in game 5 too, which is fun to see because there was nothing to lose for Wells at all. But it was a tough series to watch. I mean, just the mental mistakes of not being a fundamentally sound team lost that. So I don't think the Dodgers were the better team. They just are on paper. I think the Yankees on paper are the better team. They should have won. It should be game 6 at least right now. But the Dodgers are the better team because they're fundamentally sound. They do the little things. They cover first base. They play solid defense. The Yankees didn't play solid defense. So it's frustrating. I mean, I know they got it was a very frustrating series being a Yankees fan, and I'm hats off to Dave Roberts and that whole team. Freddie Freeman, that guy's a warrior, battling through his injuries to do what he did, and well-deserved MVP. The Dodgers front off staff getting Tommy Edman and Enrique Kike Hernandez, and Edman, who was, a game saver, obviously NLCS MVP, and he was massive at shortstop. He saved a bunch of games. It was, that the hats off to the Dodgers organization for taking that faith, getting this guy. And Edman was massive, and this guy was lost his job in St. Louis for a while. Was St. Louis shortstop and lost his job. But hey, you find him, you get him, and he is one of the biggest X factors. The reason they won the World Series. Their bullpen was solid. Another unbelievable, trade deadline acquisition, Michael Kopech. Uh, Mookie Betts is Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts is phenomenal. Shohei was down. What do you, two base knocks, two base hits? So he was down. He was not looking good. It could have been, he pulled that shoulder. So I mean, even though it was the back, the back shoulder, they say, that could have really affected him. Freddie Freeman out of his mind. Uh, I know the Dodgers do have a couple. They maybe lose Teoscar Hernandez. I think you kind of let him out. In my opinion, I let him walk. I think he's a young guy. He's 26, 27. I think he's going to be asking for a lot. I don't think you can afford him. I'd let him walk. I mean, the scary thing with the Dodgers is they're just going to be just as good next year. You're going to get Tyler Glass now fully healthy. Kershaw might be fully healthy. Maybe Dustin May and Gavin. What's his name? Gonsolin fully. Who's been out for a couple years, but they're coming back. So Dodgers are just getting. It's just a start. And maybe they do something. I saw one name was Willie Adames. That would be a hell of a signing for a shortstop. Maybe you throw, Edmund who can play wherever on the field. It's just the start of the Dodgers. For the Yankees, obviously the big piece is Juan Soto. I was all in. Anybody out there, throw a comment out what you guys feel. I was all in on Soto. Sign him. You got to do whatever you can to sign Juan Soto this offseason. You got to do it. He's the best player on that team. As much as Aaron Judge is the captain, it's Juan Soto is the best player on this team. I was all in. Give him a blank check, But after seeing him in this World Series, he's a defensive liability in right field. Are you going to get him? If you can get him for 500, okay, that's the story. But are you going to be able to get him for that 700? What he wants? That's a lot to pay a guy for the next 10 years, and he's not going to defer that money like Shohei does because he doesn't have the marketing and the investments like Shohei does with Japan. How much money he makes from the United States and in Japan. He is a god in Japan. So I don't know. Anybody got predictions? My prediction: 10 years. $700 million with the New York Mets. Go take them. Fine. You can have Juan Soto. If you want to give him that money, go. And he kind of even said it in his postseason. He goes, all 30 teams are an option. So I'm fine with it. If he gets that, I don't want to go that high. I think you focus on other things. I think the big thing is, the pitching wasn't all there. Garrett Cole, who had solid game 1 and game 5, even though we did give up didn't give up an earned run. I think he gave up 1 that game, but nothing in the 5th inning. So, but you're not getting it from Rendon, who was a big offseason sign a couple years ago. Clark Schmidt was not good. Luis Gil, who's young, was not good. So, I mean, you're taking away from your pitching. I think pitching wins in the playoffs, and that went to show with the Dodgers. They had pitching. They solid. My thing is you sign Soto to the right deal. He's a hell of a player. He's one of the best hitters in baseball. Get rid of Aaron Boone. All day, get rid of Aaron Boone. I'm done. I've been done with 8 years of him. Joe Girardi got fired after taking that team to NLCS in 17, ALCS in 17. And then, you take him to game 7, you get fired. Aaron Boone's had 8 years. He'd be going into year 9. Year 9, and he's been to 1 World Series. At least Girardi won a World Series. He's been to 1 World Series. Get him the heck out of here. I don't want to see him again. It's allowing the team to be sloppy. They're sloppy defensively. That goes directly into coaching. Garrett Cole not covering first. The defensive lapse through the whole series. But, I mean, Soto's he's the crown jewel this summer. Uh, this off season. I don't think the Yankees sign him. I think he ends up going across town to Queens. They can take him to give him whatever he wants, and he'll be open to that. Give him 700 million, and that, unfortunately, as good as he is, it'll hamstring your team because he's not taking a deferred deal like Shohei was, where he's only taking 20 million for the next 10 years and taking 680 after that. He's not doing that, so it hamstrings your team. So I think he's gone. But I mean, congratulations, Dodgers. They were the better team overall, just the better team. They played a fundamentally sound 5 games besides Game 4, which they kind of looked like they were just giving that up. We'll win Game 5, and they capitalized on the Yankees' mistakes the whole time. And you got a solid Game 1 from Jack Flaherty. Yamamoto was another one, and Walker Buehler was solid too and closed it out. But big viewing numbers for baseball, which is always good. I think they got almost 100 million views. People watching the World Series Game 1 and 2. I don't know what it was 3, 4, 5. I'm sure it was right up there, reaching big heights. But congratulations, Los Angeles Dodgers. Winning the World Series. Number 8 for them. I'm sure they'll be right back there next year, competing for another World Series. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Gonna probably take a little break, couple months. Gonna try to work with my producer to figure. We're gonna work on figure something out. Maybe do a little off season stuff. But take a little break and then try to figure out our next step. So we'll be off for a little bit, but I want to thank everybody who joined in this year for the inaugural season here on deck and Finns Talk Sports Network. It's been great. I'm been having an unbelievable time. I look forward to Wednesday every night. Everybody who had a tuned in or a comment was great. It's always fun. I love talking baseball. I played college baseball. I worked in baseball, coached baseball. So I love, everything like that, scouted in baseball. So, everybody this year, I think it was a great inaugural first season here on Finns Talk Sports Network. Please remember, like, comment, and subscribe. This is On Deck. I'm Russ Morgan. You guys have a great night.